Good morning. It is just a misty, magical morning, and I'm stood down here by the gate. I've walked down with Jack. The birds are just beginning to stir. I think it's about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Maybe it's a little bit later. It's hard to tell. You can hear the water from the pond running down here, just through that undergrowth, down into the little stream bed. And everything is just perfect. So this is Sunday morning, quiet time. The colours are just exquisite, aren't they? With each autumn, there's just such a build-up of foliage and colours and different light. Now, when I stepped outside about half an hour ago, the mist was beginning to lift in the east and I could see there was a clear sky. But as it always happens, before the sun breaks through, the mist seems to thicken. Ireland has often been called the land of mist and magic, and many of the stories, the ancient stories, begin with a landscape that's shrouded in mist. And indeed the story of the coming of the Tuatha Dé Danann began with the mist lifting up off Slievenarin, the mountain, and the sun shining on these incredible people who stood at the top of the mountain. And they wore metal, they wore silver, maybe gold as well. But I think the light must have reflected off their shields and their swords and their jewellery and their headpieces. It must have reflected and shone off these because the people recorded them into folklore as the shining ones. And on a morning like this, it's very easy not just to believe that story, but to see how the story played out. Of course, I come down with my coffee to stand by the water and watch and listen. And to drink in the magic of the morning. and to take photographs, because without the photographs, without the photographic evidence of all of this, it's hard to believe. I think that's what the internet has done for this project, and maybe why this project, the Bealtaine project, began at this time. Why I felt compelled to leave everything and to come and start this project. Because it was the right time. Because it was a time of regeneration and possibilities and healing and hope. Do you know there's a lot of talk at the moment about the futility of hope, that we shouldn't be hopeful. How wrong that is. My goodness me. It's, for me as a woman, I carry hope at the very centre of my being. When a woman gives birth, in fact all the way through the pregnancy, it's that hope that everything will be okay, that everything will be right, that things will work out. It's hope that allows us to love. Because very few of us fall in love with the right person. And we continually hope that things will improve. It's like the future. You know, to have that hope just for the future is so important. And yet there are people saying, you know, it's to do with climate change and everything that's wrong in the world. Saying, no, there's no point in having hope, you know, and they're calling it mockingly hopium. I'd like to actually call out people who mock hope like that. I'd like to call them out. I'd like to call them out, and I'd like to say, how many trees have you planted? What have you done? What are you doing? Is there anything that you're doing that can even give a little bit of hope to the generations coming behind us? When the Tour de Danann landed here in Ireland, the story goes that they burned their boats so as they could not return. Can you imagine that kind of commitment to a land that they barely knew, that they'd only landed in? Now that's hope, isn't it? That's hope for the future. The birds singing here in the morning. My goodness me, how much hope is that? In fact, that little bird is just up there by that nest. The Tour de Danann burned their boats. Maybe that's where the saying comes from. You've burned your boats. Well, when you burn your boats, it means you have to make the most of what is left, of what you have, of where you are, of what lies in your future. And if there's one message, if there's only one message that ever gets through from Bealtaine Cottage, it is the simple word hope. There's a donkey in the distance. You know, they say that donkeys can mock Well, that's almost like people beyond that mist, mocking hope. It's a terrible thing to do. It's a terrible torch to hand on to the next generation. The whole idea of hopium. There is no future. Stop lying to yourself. Stop playing games. Stop pretending. I carry the blood of the Tuatha De Danann. Some were there in my veins. I think some were in the veins of all who have Celtic roots. We carry the blood and the hope. The hope. I think hope is a fantastic word. You cannot look at what has transpired here over 15 short years and not be infused with hope. To those who mock, to those who frivolously, sometimes seriously, maybe they believe it, throw out the word hopium. Come here and explain it to Mother Earth. Come here and mock her. Mock her. Tell her there's no hope. I think she'd just laugh in your face. And she wouldn't hear anyway. She's too busy getting on with it. I'm just going to walk down here to the very top of the fairy wood. Look at that. Calendula still flowering up there by the water barrel. You see all the hope. But I'm just going to walk down here. Oh, you see, I can't walk anywhere, but she's talking to me. Look, flowers on the Mahonia. You know I just planted that in there this year. It was in a big tub, and I moved it in here. And you know why these flowers come out on the Mahonia, and they have a rich scent during midwinter? It's very simple. They flower with a beautiful rich scent. So as the bees, if there are any stray bees around, can have a little bit of hope that they can gather something from that. And the scent is so strong that the bees are attracted to it. And look at all this kale that I never planted, that's just come up in the compost heap. But I want to take you down here. But the camera keeps wanting to show all these hopeful vistas. But I want to take you down here, just to the top of the fairy wood. This is where, on a clear morning, I can see the mountain called Slieve na Éireann. The mountain where the ancestors of those who carry the blood, all of those, there must be millions and millions and millions of us now. Just pointing over there. And when this mist arose on that morning, there they stood, the shining ones. The shining ones. Jack has a little bit of a cough this morning. So he's going to be visiting Susie the vet tomorrow. He got very wet over the past few days. He insisted on being out with me. So he may have a little cold. But anyway, off he'll go to see Susie in the morning. He doesn't like going to the vet. Come on, Jack. I think I've got a wee bit of a croaky throat as well. But his nose is nice and moist and his eyes are bright. He probably just needs a little shot of something. There's the fairy wood. Now I best go indoors again, because the misty morning might not be that great for Jack. Although he does love being out on his rambles. Well, Jack, come and say hello. We don't want everybody worrying about you. Look, he's got a nice little moist nose and bright eyes. But he likes having his little throat rubbed there. You got a little bit of a cough, baby boy. Yes, you have. A little bit of a cough, and you've had all your little injections, haven't you? Yeah. Yes, he's up to date with all that. Oh, look at him running off there. Come on then. Oh, he gets very excited. If you just even sound a little bit playful. Now you're getting too excited, Jack. These colours are just so magnificent. And there's a real blue there in the mist as well. So on this beautiful morning, where does that boy get the energy from? I don't know. On this beautiful morning, I'm going to say blessings of hope to all of you. Because hope is a blessing.